All right, welcome back for the fourth time today. And funny enough, this won't even be the last video that I post today. I have another one going up just like this one, a preview for the tiebreakers, this time for Western Europe. Again, posted up after this one. Things have gotten quite crazy, quite quickly, I should say, when it comes to tiebreakers and just the overall conclusion of the first tour. I mentioned in a community post, but just in case you didn't see it, I am postponing my power rankings until maybe Sunday or Monday just because I want to wait for the entire conclusion of the DPC before making my final power rankings, as I think it just makes the most sense. And again, with how hectic everything has been around the DPC throughout these past few days and for the next few days, I just want to wait until that is concluded to do that. So just a heads up. But going into this is going to be my Southeast Asia tiebreaker preview. Before I get into it, I just want to say apologies that I actually missed one of the lower division tiebreaker matches that has already taken place earlier today, that being the relegation tiebreaker series between Army Geniuses and 496. Don't worry, no spoilers. I won't spoil who won in case you didn't see it, but that is why it is not going to be included on this board. So again, my fault. I didn't realize it was starting that quickly, and that is why I missed it. So, starting off, we have two three-way ties in the upper division, and then we have one two-way tie for second place in the lower division that I'll be getting to. But starting off with the 5th to 7th place tie between Execration, OB Neon, and Motivate. They are kicking things off on January 21st at 2:30 p.m. So just a few hours away from now. That 2:30 p.m. is Southeast Asia local time, give or take. Starting things off, we have Execration taking on OB Neon. Following that, it'll be Motivate taking on the loser of that first series. And then after that, if that match is needed, there will be Motivate up against the winner of the first series. The way that this is going to go is this style right here will be repeated up until there is a loser. Of course, there's one team that has to get relegated from this division, and whichever team comes in last place from this round robin format will be the one getting relegated, meaning that if, say, Execration beats OB Neon, then OB Neon beats Motivate, and then Motivate beats Execration. That way all three teams are tied with one win. Then they'll have to repeat this format once again up until there is a loser. So it's going to be really intense. There's a few things that I want to touch on before I skip over to the next one. First of all, I wanted to look at the results from Tour 1 between these teams. Of course, these teams have already all played against each other before, and funny enough, it's that exact scenario that I was just talking about where one team beat another, then that team beat the other, and then that team beat the first team. So kicking things off on December 1st, we had Motivate taking down Execration 2-0 at the very beginning at the tour. Following that, we had on December 8th, Execration taking down OB Neon 2-1, and then OB Neon taking down Motivate just earlier today on January 20th to secure themselves this tiebreaker match. Because of course, if OB Neon had lost that series, we would not be in this position right now. We would not need tiebreakers for this spot right here. So again, it's going to be really interesting to see. I think these teams are very evenly matched. I mean, given the fact that they all were able to beat each other is definitely one thing that I was thought was pretty entertaining. But also, a few notes that I wanted to touch on too is that Motivate has yet to win a series since that first week. They started off the first tour by beating two teams, one of which was Execration, and ever since week 1, they have gone 0-5. So Motivate Gaming are looking to turn things around. They did just play against OB Neon. They even took a game off of them, but they really need to turn things around. Things are starting to get very, very dire very quickly for Motivate here. Things are not all that much better for some of the other teams here, as I'll point out that OB Neon has been underperforming, specifically in the DPC. I've gotten plenty of comments, and I've even watched some VODs of OB Neon playing in outside tournaments at the same time as the DPC has been going on, and they've been doing very well, getting some pretty impressive results, but they haven't been translating that into the DPC. They've been struggling a lot in the actual DPC circuit. And finally, for Execration, their only wins this season were up against OB Neon and TNC Predator, when at the time, both of them had 0 wins to that point. So it's a little bit alarming for Execration as well. There's a lot of things to be a little bit worried about for each and every one of these teams, but Execration has yet to be able to beat some of the slightly stronger teams in the region. And so yeah, no predictions coming out from me. I'm not even going to try. This is going to be really entertaining. I'm hoping that it's just some great Dota, and I hope that, of course, the best team wins. So there's a lot on the line here, as only the last place team from these 3 teams will be getting relegated to the lower division. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Who do you think is going to win this series? Who do you think is going to be the one that gets relegated? You guys can let me know. And now moving on to the second three-way tie of Southeast Asia's upper division, which when I made my prediction video trying to predict the rankings of every single region before the tour started, I even said, before I even said my Southeast Asia predictions, that this region was incredibly close and it was incredibly difficult to make my predictions, as it could really go either way. And here we are 2 months later, and we have two separate three-way ties. That just shows how closely knit this Southeast Asian region is. So again, it will be the same format, best of one round robins, kicking things off on January 22nd at 3 p.m. We have Fnatic taking on SMG. Following that, we have T1 playing against the loser, and if there still is not a team that is going to be 0-2 to that point, T1 will be facing the winner of the first series. And again, if there still is not a winner or a loser, they will have to repeat this circuit once again. Taking a look at their Tour 1 results, same thing as with the other results over there. Each team has managed to beat each other. Starting things off on December 4th, SMG took down Fnatic 2-0. Then on December 9th, T1 took down SMG 2-0. And then just recently, January 19th, we had Fnatic taking down T1 in a very, very close 2-1 series. Fnatic playing some of their best Dota of the tour for sure. T1 looking shaky at points, but they were still playing quite well, I will say. But they just really didn't find their stride in that series. It felt like every time they started to get a little bit of momentum, at least in the games that they lost, Fnatic was right there to shut it down. So again, it's so close. I don't know who's going to end up taking this series. Part of me really wants to say T1 because of how consistent they've been for pretty much the past year at this point. Ever since that first major last year, the Singapore major, ever since after that point, they've been very, very good. But they have struggled a little bit this season. That one loss to OB Neon is a little bit of a red flag. Taking a look at some of the notes that I left, these ones being more positive than the last set of notes that I left. Fnatic is on a 4-series winning streak currently. They started off their season a little bit rough, again, losing to SMG very early on, but since then they have completely turned things around. Their roster is finally starting to look like what we thought it might look like at the start of the tour. That win over T1, again, very impressive. For T1, they are the only team in this division that was actually able to take down Boom. It was a fantastic series, a very well executed series by T1, and it shows me that T1 is very much capable of playing some of the best Dota in the region, if not the best Dota in the region. It's just a matter of being able to get there, get to that point where their cores and their supports, everyone's playing at 110%. And finally, for SMG, they only lost to T1 and Boom. And I know that seems like a little bit of a weird stat, but they were able to reliably beat every single team in the region except for the teams that were projected to be the best, that have been the best. And that being Boom, who again went 6-1 in the tour, was very fantastic. And T1, even though they do lose 2 series, they are still a fantastic team, a very strong team, not one to be underestimated. So again, I don't really want to predict here. This really could go either way. I'm just hoping for some fantastic Dota. We clearly see that each and every one of these teams are evenly matched, as they were all able to beat each other, and we'll have to see how it goes for this tiebreaker matchup. So yeah, again, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Who takes this series? Who ends up finishing second place in the region? By the looks of it and the fact that there should be a 4-team playoff, regional-based playoffs instead of a major this year, this wouldn't really mean that any team would be getting knocked out of that per se, because of even if you finish last place in these tiebreakers, you would still be in the top 4 of the division. But the seeding could end up being very important depending on, again, what the playoff format ends up being. So we'll see. And finally now, moving on to the lower division, where we have a 2-way tie for second place up against 2 of the stronger teams of the region who kind of had a little bit of a weak ending on both sides. We have no confirmed date to this point. I'd only imagine that it could take place before the January 22nd matches of the best of ones between T1, SMG, and Fnatic. Just because this is going to be a simple best of 3, there's no chance that this goes longer than 3 games because it is strictly just 2 teams that are currently tied. But again, not a confirmed date so far. You guys might have to check that out. I'll post it on my community tab once we actually get a confirmed date for that. But kicking things off, looking at the Tour 1 results, which is the only thing I've really put here, both teams start off 5-0, and then they just kind of tank the end of the season a little bit. For Nigma, they start off the season by beating 496 2-0, then Talon and Interactive Philippines and Army Geniuses 2-1, which, you know, 2-1 against some of these weaker teams in the division isn't all that convincing, but they're wins nonetheless. They're showing that they're resilient. They're showing that they get better as the series goes on, and that they're able to build on that momentum. And then they beat RagDoll 2-0, which is their opponent. So they actually beat them 2-0 in the series that they had in this first tour already. But then they follow that up by losing to the undefeated Polaris 2-1. And then when they just needed one more win to secure themselves that spot in the upper division, they played against Lil Gun, who sure wasn't in contention for that top 2 spot for a little bit. They've still been one of the best teams in this division, and they can't beat them. They lose to them 2-1 as well. For RagDoll, very similar trajectory. They start off by beating Army Geniuses 2-0, then beating Interactive Philippines and 496 2-1. Again, they're not beating them 2-0, but they're still getting those wins. They take down Talon 2-0, and then they get Lil Gun. So Lil Gun, again, the team that Nigma was struggling to take down, they actually managed to beat them 2-1. But when they do have the head-to-head matchup against Nigma, they lose 2-0, and then they lose 2-0 to Polaris as well, the only undefeated team, of course, of this lower division. So, yeah, right now, RagDoll hasn't won a game technically since January 10th. It's been a little while, whereas Nigma in their past 2 series, they've at least taken some games off of those better teams, but this is a tiebreaker. We'll have to see how it goes. Nigma got the best of them in the last one, 2-0, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be a free win for them. This is going to be a tough series. I'm very excited to see the results of it, as the winner will be going up into the upper division. And so if Nigma ends up making it, then they have 2 teams in the upper division as an organization, meaning they could potentially meet each other at a major, which I don't even think is allowed. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. As always, again, this won't be my last video today. I have a video just like this going up from Western Europe, so if you don't want to miss that, feel free to check that out, as those matches are going to be taking place tomorrow as well, in just a few hours as well. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys in just a little bit. Bye.